Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Your favorite podcast, it's Critical Blast.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
And I'm Scott Wakefield, host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham, where we talk about comic books and all kinds of great storytelling, sometimes with incredible guests. And we want you to join us Wednesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hey, welcome everyone to a Silver Sunday on this Sunday. Where's my date? May the 9th. It's Mother's Day. And so because of it's Mother's Day, we're pulling an audible. We were slated to talk about romantic interest of lead characters. But since it's Mother's Day, I decided, really kind of at the suggestion of Silverline CEO, BJ, she said, you should talk about moms today. I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea. So we're pulling an audible, and we're going to talk about comic book moms today.
Do you know what this weekend also is?
May...
Mother's Day. No.
May the 9th. No, I don't.
It's also the 8th in some countries, the 10th on others, but it is V-Day.
Oh, yeah.
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 Whoa.
Oh.
Shame.
I'm
Mr.
sitting here thinking,
Self-proclaimed mystery bug.
what battles took place today? What battles?
The end of battles.
And it looks like we just lost
Yep.
our history sponsor.
There you go. Yeah. Perfect. But yeah, and I am also a West Coastie, so it is wonderful and sunny over here. I'm also security under Curtis, being a practicing an amateur boxer and kickboxer.
Cool.
In the chat, today, we have Bobby Weskovich saying, "Oh, my son-in-law, Roland Mann, the big dummy."
What's up, Screw Loose? That's my father-in-law, y'all.
And Tommy Formanti saying, "Tim cheating on us again." Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Tommy.
Man, Tim. Man, Tim. We're just not going to be able to trust you anymore, Tim.
My loyalties to the company.
Yeah, Tommy's straight on. Tommy likes it.
Yeah.
Tommy
They don't
likes
give you any grace, do they?
Okay, but only if Tommy literally comes on the air and starts going, "Tim's my man. He's my man. He can't be cheating on me."
So here's the dangers right now. We were talking just before we went on the air. I said one of the beauties about us shifting formats, right, going to Discord is that Tommy can just drop in if he feels like it. All right.
Yeah.
He can drop in and say, "Hey, stop that."
Yeah, and then
Bring
leave.
it on, Mr. Flormani.
And John, you were actually reminded me of something. We are. Let me see if I can actually get a copy sent in here to me. Hold on a second. No, well, you know what? Not because I was thinking you can do. Will you bring me a
Is
copy?
this how you text all the time?
This is why I don't text. This is why. Yeah, this is why I don't text. Kickstarter comic.
Roland's all. Since when did they put the alphabet in computers? What the hell?
No, see, if it was computers, I'd have had it done already.
You haven't done already.
Do you have the voice to text thing on your phone? You could just speak it in there, because you
Listen,
can
Since
speak
you're
about
talking
150
No,
words a
we got
minute.
we got to get rolling one of
Yeah.
those Motorola Edges with the flip-out keyboard again.
Yeah.
Yeah, see now that would
Give
be
it like
that
the
would be
dragon
awesome.
dictation.
If I had a keyboard like this, right, that I could actually type on instead of this stupid little thing right there. I mean, who can type on that?
I use the swipe
Nobody.
thing. I have.
So what I was going to say, and hopefully my message will get through, and I'll get some. Kickstarter. John mentioned it. Kickstarter. Most of the books have been sent out. There are still some. I am waiting on the signature, Ari Jones's signature, for those who got the signed copies. But all the copies of the art, and basically, if you didn't get a signature, those are out. So you should start looking for those in the mail. Probably, actually, some of you got those delivered yesterday. I haven't looked or double checked, but if not, you may start getting them tomorrow. So those should start arriving in your hands, and you should start getting them very soon. So do look for those. And hopefully I'll get one during the stream, and if I do, I'll hold it up and show it because it looks really, really good. But yeah, and we're also then preparing to launch our other Kickstarter, our next Kickstarter on Thursday. So if all goes well with Kickstarter, that is. So we are anxious for that. So thank you, John, for reminding me that I needed to get a quick Kickstarter update. So our topic today, comic book moms. So somebody jump in. If it's comic book moms, who's the first one you think of? I know who I think, but what's the first one you think of? Quentin?
Martha.
Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom? What?
Dr. Doom's mother.
Who's Dr.
Yeah,
Doom's mother?
Jam. He's my favorite. Yeah. Well, she's the kind of the reason why he is such a skadoocher. So, yeah, she kind of traded her soul for power.
Can you spell that for me?
Sounds like a technical term.
I don't know if there's official. It's an industry term.
So,
but
anyway. But it's because last time I heard skadoosh was a positive statement. Like
I'm gonna start using that, a skadoosher.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start using that now, just for the hell of it.
He's like my favorite character of all time, all the way back to Secret Wars when he killed every hero at once. It was funny. Anyway, well, his mother had kind of like sold her soul to get back at some
on the very far
townspeople in Latveria.
One sitting on the.
And anyway, she ended up having to pay her dues, and of course, left him and his father to kind of survive with not only the the fallout from what she did, but for the rest of his life, his whole everything that he did, all of the knowledge and everything that he gained in science and in the occult and mysticism and all that stuff was due to him trying to save his mother. And I just thought it was such a cool story. I mean, if there's one thing that can give a character like a drive to do stuff, it was Dr. Doom. And I just loved the way they laid the whole story out. It was so good. I can't even remember. It was like the Doom origin anyway. If you look it up, you'll find it.
I don't ever remember Dr. Doom's mom. I'm with Curtis though. I think the first mom that comes to my mind is Martha. Martha Kent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It'll be. I'm a big Wonder Woman fan, so it'll be Hippolyta. That's because she's a major character in the series. Yeah, the warrior mother.
Yeah.
I was just watching Jupiter's Legacy, so you have Miss Liberty.
Oh yeah, that's a family. I haven't watched that yet. I'd like to.
Yeah, I just saw an ad for it. Looks good.
What is
It's
that?
a Mark Millar book that got a series on Netflix.
Oh, okay. All right.
Is it a good
Really
show?
good,
I mean,
actually. Yeah, it's good.
It's pretty good.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
who else? Roberta, who'd you
You
say?
want me
who'd
to
you say?
start sharing?
Yeah, that would be great, actually. Do please
Yeah,
start.
let me get that
Please start sharing.
together.
Tim, what about you? When you think of moms, comic book moms, who's the first mom you think of?
Madeline Pryor, Cyclops, or not Cyclops, Cable's mom, Cyclops' wife, before Emma Frost and Jean Grey again. Ended up selling her son Nathan, later Cable, to become the Goblin Queen. So, bold choice for her part.
Yeah.
But but the act ended up causing Cable to time travel, and we got a whole new mutant out of that, and my favorite mutant. So I'll take it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that whole Summers family is all jacked up.
It's real
Oh,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah. I like
Scott
not.
Scott Summers is absolutely the worst father of the year.
He's not
All right,
great.
Can you see it, by the way?
Yes, we have accept.
Oh, good.
If you
okay,
accept the
thanks.
stream, you can see it. Yeah.
I don't get to see it. Discord doesn't show it to me.
No.
So
Yeah.
I can't see that it's there.
I appreciate where they are now, where they acknowledge it. Scott and Jean Grey have their family and all their kids back together, but they very specifically have separate bedrooms. They're the couple that elected to have that set up.
So it's kind of like the Dick Van Dyke show. Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. That's actually what the Summers family reminds me of right now. It's the Dick Van Dyke Show on the moon, and all the extended brothers and everything are also living with them, and so does Logan at times, which makes it
Quit.
a little interesting.
So let's. So one of the things that as I was thinking about this today, one of the things that I thought about was the number of moms that are missing in so many stories. Just not in the sense of they're missing in the story, but they're just not mentioned at all, or they're non-existent. When you think of let's just think the popular ones, right? So Spider-Man, Peter Parker, his were gone by the time the story started. Right now, we ended up learning a little bit about them, but they were basically gone by the time he was a kid. And as I think John said before we started live, Aunt May pretty much was his default mom,
and she rocked at it. Even wheat cakes, even with the wheat cakes.
yeah. But then you look at Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne grows up, effectively without a mom because his were killed early on. So he grows up with Alfred.
Alfred was his mother.
Alfred was his mother and his father.
Color.
Who else? Can you think of others? Please tell me. Yes, got an hour and a half.
Sue Storm, right? I mean, I think the interesting thing is it all depends on, as a reader, is when you come into the story. Like, some people wouldn't say Sue Storm because originally she wasn't a mother figure, but if you came into the story later on, she's a very prominent mother in superhero comics, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
She
like
has
the
one
power
of the top
couple.
five-
Yeah.
She has one of the most top five power rated children in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, Omega level. Franklin Richards.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like top 5 cosmic level.
Yeah.
He's up there with
Yeah.
Beyonder and stuff. So
Yeah, and that's
Galacticus he's afraid of him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Of course, he's not. I mean, they're friends, but I'm saying he's the one entity in the universe that Galacticus pays attention to with the utmost respect.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like Curtis on our streams.
Yes.
Right.
I wish.
at times we can't let him. Every once in a while we have to get some of it back.
Well, we'll just wait for Aaron to interrupt him.
No, I got nothing to say right now. The only other mother that she's a grandmother, but still a mother technically,
Sure.
is Grandma Ben in Bone. Always liked her. She was a major character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was a grandmother, but she was awesome with the cow racing.
She was great with the cow racing.
And all that, yeah. So I'm trying to, and she was a major character. She wasn't just a side character. She was a major character in that series.
Yeah.
That's one thing we can say. I think the reason why some mothers you learn about some mothers and you don't hear anything about other mothers is because they're not important to the character's story. They may not have had an impact in that character. Another one that I brought up earlier was Wolverine's mother, his real mother. She was actually really important to his story, as in why he ended up taking the path he did, because she cheated on his dad with the landscape guy, and so his dad wasn't actually his dad, and then she blew her brains out right in front of him.
Yeah.
That's sad.
And I will confess that is all news to me.
That's tough love.
Because I quit reading Marvel, I guess, before all that happened. Tough love.
It's when everybody. It's when Wolverine found out.
You want some tough love? Come on, I got you tough love right here.
It's the first time he popped his claws, and he actually killed his biological father because his biological father killed his dad.
Yeah.
He thought was his dad. So it was jacked up. But
well, there was.
I don't know how many of you guys read Invincible, but the mother in there is pretty important.
What's a
too.
great
Like,
character?
Yeah.
Great character.
She's
Super
great.
developed, right?
Yeah.
And throughout the series, she gets more developed. And you can even say, spoilers for anyone listening on this, I am sorry, but Adam Eve in the series is also.
Did we lose Roberta's share?
Yes. It's been lagging and it's jumping around with the lasso.
We
so
just
I
weren't
can't
paying
color it.
attention to her. She's just like, fine, I'm not going to show you anything.
No, I'm going to try Photoshop 2020 and see if that's better.
Yeah.
Didn't Rapture become the mother of Savage Dragon's son?
Yeah, he
in
did. I
Savage
haven't
Dragon?
read Savage Dragon in a long time, but I know he did have a son. The son took over as the main character in the series, didn't he?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think Rapture's the mom, isn't she?
Yeah, she was the one
What's
that
her
wore like
name?
the purple suit. I think the purple suit.
Yeah.
She was African American.
Yeah, and
I
the
think
white
that was
streak
when
down the middle.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm trying to think. I guess in Spawn, I guess Wanda is important. It's his wife, but also his mother, because he has a child in that book. It's the child and the mother.
No,
Wait,
he doesn't have the child. Oh, his best friend. That's his best friend's child.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's not his child. That's right. He couldn't have children with her. That's right. Okay. Yeah. It's been a while.
Okay.
But she went to hell and back for that kid, actually. So
Yeah.
literally.
Yep.
Yeah, they actually include her a lot in this series. I remember that. I'm trying to think. It seems to be mostly fathers, and I don't know if that just has to do with like most like superheroes or like a lot of the original ones were male, but it wasn't even father issues. It was more like losing parents. I think like Roland was pointing out.
But that's
like Spider-Man and Batman is more the loss of the parents that precipitated the superhero outcome.
Well, that's like the golden rule of writing is everything is in service to the plot or the character. So if you include a detail, it has to be in relation to that. And Marisha Ray from Critical Role had a really great tweet a while ago when someone asked, why does no one have a character backstory that's, happy? It's like, well, no well-adjusted character just decides to leave home and go out on an adventure.
Yeah.
Well, no, not yet.
No?
Yeah, or fight crime.
Yeah.
Fight crime or something because everything's been so good.
Exactly. You're just going to leave my career, my family to go fight someone.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing is, so this is, I realize that all of us are well-adjusted on the stream, but no one wants to read about well-adjusted people.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're boring. Well, I'm just trying to make you feel better. I was just trying to make you feel like you belonged.
No, I know better than that. I'm fine with it. I've learned to deal with it years ago.
You know, strange enough, I think the only thing where you're talking about they don't go out and seek, I think fantasy is the only one where that is an exception. Because, you know, Conan, the original Conan, in the original series, he just went out to explore the world. He just went to travel. And a lot of D&D and stuff, most of like it's a sense of adventure they want to go on. You know, even
Well, I may
look
be
at like
breaking a
original
rule
Hobbit.
here, but
Yeah.
I know in the movie,
Ah.
which I know
He
in the
lost his
movie,
father and stuff, yeah.
There we are.
yeah, and his mother, right?
Yeah, in the books that was never the case. In the books it was just
I never read the books, so I don't know.
Yeah, in the books he
Britain
actually goes
flag.
back home when his parents are alive and everything. He just goes out and explores the land.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the whole take with Conan. He was supposed to be more of like a foreigner in a foreign land because he comes from the north. That's why the jet black hair and the white skin are so important because everyone else is you know tan and black, like different. So he stands out. That was supposed to be kind of the take on his character, but he
So I'm going to offer this theory, okay? So and it's very, very broad. I'm sure Tim is gonna the cogs in his brain are gonna turn. So Conan is an older book, an older creation, right? Somebody know a ballpark as to when it was?
20s, about the 1920s, same time with Lovecraft was being written.
Okay, so 1920s. The world is opening up in the 1920s, right? I mean, it's kind of opened up, but it's kind of on that cusp of opening up. People are leaving places that they've never left before. Their families have been there for years, or at least if they have. Well, you know, my family grew up 20 miles from here. People are traveling
where you're
all
going.
over the place.
Yeah.
So we get Conan, right? Who explores, right? Fast forward a little bit to well, let's just talk about the 60s and the characters. We probably talk about the 40s characters, but don't know enough about that. But the 60s, you were in the middle of the hippie revolution and freedom and all this kind of stuff. Families are beginning to bust up after World War II, right? Because this really after World War II is really start to see the breakup of the family a lot. So we start to see all these characters that have parents missing or foster parents, things like that. I think today, right, family, we're kind of coming full circle. Families are different now, right? But I think the importance of family are back. So we're getting things like Invincible, in which the family is important to the story, right? Now that still, again, it's a dysfunctional family in Invincible, but there's the mom. We know who the mom and who the dad are, right? It's not like a lot of these characters were like, well, we don't know. They just show up and they're, you know, like who's Sue Storm and Johnny Storm's parents. And if they revealed them over the last decade, I don't know, right? But same for Reed Richards. I never knew Reed Richards' parents. Ben Grimm's parents. They were just the Fantastic Four that existed. They were younger, of course, but they existed, and we never knew anything about them, right? That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. What do you guys think?
We also see that
one of the things that I'm sorry, you're very low on my you're very low, Tim. So when you talk, I really can't hear you too well. So
I can't up myself just in Discord, but yeah, I'd say we're even seeing that in not to go on another X-Men diatribe, but to go on another X-Men diatribe.
Oh, that's much better, Tim.
Okay,
I
cool.
fixed it.
Yeah. We see now. I mean, the Summers family is the joke for being notoriously mismanaged and broken up all the time. But now the way it's being handled is they're kind of living in their extended family condo, all Dick Van Dyke Show or oh man, I forgot that. But Family Squares type stuff. But the entire family is all entire extended family living together in one. I guess I just remember who stole the intro for that. It's like, the game show stole their intro. Yeah, but it's the entire extended family living in this weird moon condo. And they have family things that happen, but the family dysfunction isn't the main part of the story or them trying to reclaim parts of family. It's the family in relation to the main plot.
Right.
And actually, I mean, you actually can't blame Summers like Scott completely for how bad he is because I mean, his dad is a space pirate.
Yeah, he's kind of. I mean, he still could have made some better choices, but he did not have the best figures, role models.
And we're not even going to talk about his other brother that you know.
Oh, Havoc. Yeah.
He's got two brothers. Havoc and one other.
Vulcan, who nearly ended the universe in a weird marital crisis, and is also now living with them again. And now they're having issues where he's been living with an alien culture for so long that he's hyper literal and very poetic. And Scott doesn't know how to bridge that gap with them.
He was with the Kree, wasn't he, or something like that?
No.
The Shi'ar Empire.
There's a Shi'ar. Yeah, he killed the Shi'ar. Married Deathhawk, right? Is that her name?
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Yes. So speaking of weird mothers, that family happened, and then Black Bolt and Vulcan killed each other, but didn't kill each other. They just slingshot each other through a black hole. They came back, and yeah.
Happens all the time.
Exactly.
And then we have
I would say on the
and her kids.
But
Mystique,
Deathbird, thank you, Wubba. Wubba's in Facebook. He says hello, and it's Deathbird.
And what Mystique's the mother of Rogue and the mother of Nightcrawler, and who knows how many other kids with everything. That
Wait, what? Mystique
I
is the
didn't
mother?
know that.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
it was her and Azrael, the red-looking Nightcrawler.
Yep.
It was her and Azrael that actually are the parents of Nightcrawler.
And then she gave up Nightcrawler, put him on the steps of the church, and that's how he got brought into that family. So we also talk about Nightcrawler's adoptive family, than the nuns being his mothers.
I was going to say one piece of that going back to the Conan thing really quick, what Roland was saying before we get too far ahead. I think Conan was also a symptom of the frontiersman, which I think was a huge thing in the 1920s. And I think that was kind of lost, but that was then reignited in the 1950s with the space program. The idea of, you had challenges of the unknown. Fantastic Four seemed more like frontiersman type of the original concept of the idea. They were explorers of science or whatever. So I think that was kind of the impetus of a lot of characters going out and adventuring or whatever. Not so much fighting crime, but going on adventures with that sort of frontiersman mentality, which I think has been lost over the years. So I think we need to write other impetuses than just, and of course that's why I think fantasy works so well with that, because since most fantasy is rural, medieval, the idea of the frontiersman or the adventurer fits so perfectly within that paradigm. So a lot of them just do that.
What are you talking about? It's an adventure just to go to the store nowadays. Do I wear a mask? Do I not wear a mask?
That's my next comic then, Conan in the grocery store.
Yes.
I will start writing that right now.
Mystique was the kid of the politician Creed, wasn't she? Her and Sabretooth?
Mystique was the mother of Nightcrawler and Creed, foster mother of Rogue. So she, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, did I tell y'all I figured out a second use for my my mask?
No.
No.
Okay.
What is it?
Did you tell?
I was. Yeah. No. Here you go.
Wipe your mouth.
So here's the mask, right? I put on the mask, and then I went back to the car and I was waiting on my wife, and
No. Oh my
all I
god.
had to do
That's
was put
funny.
it over my eyes, and I had a little night mask thing. It was nice.
I heard of somebody that put
Awesome.
somebody put Skittles inside their mask so they can eat at work and nobody can tell, like a feeding bag, you know.
There's
Like a feed bag.
there's a I hope it's a parody, but there's a parody product, I believe, but it's an extended mask that you can fit one ballpark size hot dog in.
Oh, we just got taken off the YouTube.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that might be.
He said a ballpark hot dog.
It's a hot dog.
Just
I
a
like a
hot dog.
foot-long coney for my mask,
Sometimes
please.
a hot dog is just a hot dog.
The quotable line from Dark Crystal. It's just a hot dog.
I
So,
do not remember that in Dark Crystal.
It was in the deleted
Yeah.
scenes.
Yeah, exactly.
It was on the Blu-ray.
so,
Director Scott.
so while y'all are thinking about more moms, Roberta, tell us what you're coloring and tell us what you're working on.
Oh, I am starting from scratch here. A brand new page of Champion and Miss Fury team up, and it's looking like a very nice little airport.
Nice. And so
Yeah.
this is what you call the flatting stage, right?
Yes, and it's made so much harder during streaming. So bear with my triple slow coloring.
That's okay.
But
We just
at
enjoy
least you
seeing.
could see the intention. So yeah, I start with the background. I try and decide at
So
that stage where the tone's gonna go, and then I'll start laying in all the people.
So out of curiosity, so
Mhm.
I have seen people do flatting before, but usually what I see them do is they do the entire page or the entire panel, and they lay in a flat color on the panel on the whole thing. But it looks like you've just got kind of laid out a little
You
section.
know why? Because I
Why?
have to have half of my real estate in my screen to see you guys, and so the window's too narrow. So I got to work smaller. So I'm
Okay,
just
all right.
adjusting for technology.
Okay, that makes
But yeah, what I would normally do if I could select from this distance would be I'd take a big, swath of the background and I'd color it. And then
Okay.
I cut it out one piece at a time. But I can't go from one side to the other. So I gotta go in little tiny spots. So there you go.
That makes
That's
sense.
nice. Yeah. And I
I
might
mean,
put
she's 20 times faster when she's not doing it on stream.
Oh my God, I am. This is so slow. It's like I hope it's not painful to watch because it's painful to look at me doing it to me.
No, it's not painful to watch. It's fun
All
to
right.
watch.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, pop this up on the screen. Can you guys see this?
Yeah,
the
looks
Friar
good.
Rush.
Yeah,
Fry
this is-
Rush.
yeah. Look at this.
The
What?
rock
Yeah.
star.
Yeah,
Ooh.
and now flip it over. Twilight Grim.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right. Yeah. This is the flip book that is being shipped out to all of you folks who were backers, right? And of course you can see it's a flip book, so you flip it over and read the other side. So
Very cool.
it looks fantastic, y'all. And of course, there's the page that says all of our backers, thank you. Whoop, wrong way.
Nope.
Thank you, our supporters.
Nice.
Thank you. Right. So so all you guys, we really appreciate that. So all of you people on here, your books are coming. They're on the way, right? And it looks really
Right.
good. Shout out to yeah. So shout out to Kablam for an awesome job once again. Fantastic stuff. So what do you guys think? Wubba says, got all the covers. I do have all the covers in, Wubba. They're all sitting in there on the table. I didn't think to grab this before the stream started, and so I just asked BJ to grab the Kickstarter version. But yes, I do have them all in, and yes, they look gorgeous. Yeah, there's that.
And he also says, we're talking about hiding stuff in your mask. He says people do that work all the time at my job, Curtis, as in hiding Skittles and stuff in your mask, and hide Bluetooth headphones under the ear protection. Yeah.
I do that.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's smart.
So I guess one of the questions I have is, why do you have to hide them? Hide the? Are you not supposed to have them at work? Are they usually verboten?
I guess it depends on the
They
job.
banned them at my work because of OSHA safety.
Bluetooth, Bluetooth.
I can't see
Any-
what
Really?
on earth OSHA would find a problem.
At my job,
Well, we had to
because-
also get rid of any appliance that was not supplied by the company as well. So
Nah.
there was like a appliance apocalypse at our work after they came through. Everybody,
I don't even understand
Yeah.
why.
yeah, everybody was running around. My refrigerator, no! And
Oh no.
people were loading all their stuff up, and yeah, it was good.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, at
Now,
my job,
how long ago was this, Quentin?
it's about a year ago. About a
Wow.
year ago, before all the COVID stuff hit.
Really?
Yeah, it was. They changed a few things, so yeah.
Okay. So Wubba just said music is considered a distraction by OSHA.
Distraction, and also you cannot hear. So if
What can
and
you have to hear?
there's some departments that you don't really have to have your hearing,
Yeah.
but because it's they just made it company wide, so
Now I can see they would
Uh,
ban it for someone who's driving a forklift or
Yeah.
Or security.
Or you
or-
got
Well-
if you got to hear, but
yeah, screen printing is I mean the probably the worst thing about screen printing, anything that's remotely dangerous, is maybe working in the warehouse. We have a warehouse, but yeah, it was company wide.
Wow.
Interesting.
Oh, these people have headphones and earbuds, and that's
Oh wow.
can't have that. You
That's so sad though.
So, yeah,
Bluetooth
yeah, because
actually interferes.
changed a lot of
with-
stuff.
Bluetooth actually interferes with the scanners that they use at my job.
Really?
Oh yeah.
No, so I guess you don't have
Postal.
any Bluetooth technology like mouse or keyboard. None of that.
Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, your phone can't even be switched over to Bluetooth because it can actually interfere with the scanner's Bluetooth connection.
Really?
So
Well,
everything's
that's
just hardwired in.
That's pretty wild.
Basically, they
Well,
try to go through and try to take away anything that's a liability or a safety concerns or stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I
Even
get
the
that.
slightest. Like with the appliances, the whole thing behind the appliances was if somebody's appliance made an outlet, catch or something, then it would be their fault, and it just causes bad situations. So I mean, I could kind of see, but I really did like having my refrigerator there. But now we're off site, so
Yeah.
now my office consists of a kitchen and a bathroom and a bedroom, and I love it.
Yeah.
Wubba says he works with nail guns and pneumatic staplers with sensitive triggers. So I can see music when you're have potential of nailing, literally nailing someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Head banging. Pound. Oh crap! I
Yeah,
didn't.
make sure that you have easy
Hell.
listening music. You don't have any,
well, we attached one of our recent hires. He's non-union to your house, so you have to pay for him as material now has been added into your bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? OSHA can kiss my grits. I work 10 hours. I need my music.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I'd have a hard time. I think I'd have a hard time giving up music completely too. Now, I mean, obviously, I can't listen to music when I'm writing because, that just can't do that. But when I'm doing other stuff that doesn't require, me to be thinking and composing, I put the jam on.
Yeah, my when I'm writing, I listen to a lot of the Metal Gear Solid 3 soundtrack, especially for Wolf Hunter, because it is just that instrumental, just very there's drive to it, but it's very thoughtful. I guess in the composition. So when you're for writing espionage, it really lends itself to building that slow boil atmosphere. But at our day job, I work in a financial office, but we have a radio that goes in through all the vents, and plays like Alice in Chains and Ozzy Osbourne and Metallica most days. Like
Really?
it's great. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not really a music person that much. I like to listen to podcasts and stuff. But I do, when I do listen to music, it's usually something that's appropriate to what I'm doing. Because I noticed that if I just listen to music, whatever comes over the stream, I mean, it kind of plays with my emotions a little bit. And, you know, I don't like that. So if I'm doing something that requires high energy, I'll listen to high energy music. If I'm doing something that, you know, is something not high energy and I feel like listening to music, I'll listen to something soft or, you know, because music, regardless of what people say, it does affect your mood and your.
yeah.
A lot of people say, you know, they try to, you know, challenge that, but you can't really challenge that.
I think
That's the purpose of music. It's emotional.
It's like depending on the person, it might have very like differing levels of effect. But the point of art or any sort of medium is to affect you in some way. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like in ancient China, they had this one guy who would actually go through the kingdom and tune all the musical instruments in every village, because the idea was if the vibrational level of all the music was in harmony, then the kingdom would be in harmony, and it would be just one more step to, you know, getting everything in order. Yeah.
Well, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I used to, in college, I used to work at a Japanese restaurant, but we were all like, you know, of course, young guys and girls, you know, of varying Japanese descent. And when the owner left, we would put on our music instead of the traditional Japanese music. And one of the waiters loved thrash metal, so he put on thrash metal, and it was hilarious because you had all these old Japanese people eating, and they just started like drumming it, and I don't know if it's because they hated the music or it was really just like pumping them up. But we would play thrash metal in this really traditional Japanese restaurant. It was a thing.
Saturdays is the big class at the gym for like fight IQ and going through like different like actual like sparring and boxing techniques. So it's the really exhausting like several hours long class. But at the end of it, three of us just were sitting down and it was playing some really weird upbeat like I think it was Pitbull, it was a Central American, South American inspired artist, so it's very like upbeat to kind of like reggaeton style thing. But we're all sitting just staring at the ground, like this is a weird mood. Our headspace and our physical space are not in the same vibe right now.
You would think something like that, you'd be like, okay, so listen to Sepultura and Soulfly.
Yeah,
and
Soulfly is great. I mean, right before this, I was listening to Kublai Khan, which is like Texas hardcore, like music to murder someone to. But when you get to like,
we need to have a discussion.
Yes, but when you're at like a public gym and like it's just kind of whatever they can get that gets put on, you're like, this is, I don't know how I feel about this. It's not.
Well, I was writing something, and the music dictated what I actually ended up starting writing.
I find I chew gum faster if I'm listening to heavy metal music.
I grip my teeth and I actually, you know, burn some calories while I'm doing whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like here in LA, you know, it's so much car culture, right? And I like rap music, but I don't look like I like rap music, and I don't blast my stuff at a stoplight, but most people do, right? So what I do is I actually downloaded one polka song, and when somebody's like blaring their rap music and acting tough, I roll down my window and I just blast polka music and just kind of like look over and do one of these, and they're so confused.
Yeah, we can't tell that you like rap music at all, Mr. Wu-Tang.
That's like the one trend of people who would pull up dicks to random people at stoplights and start like singing Celine Dion and waiting for them to join in.
Actually, like it looks like it driving down the road when I'm playing like Heelong and all the raspy stuff, and it's like I'm driving through Fraser, which is the hood around here, and it's like
But I went to
No different than Slipknot.
I like DMX, you know, who
Mhm.
recently passed. But I went to one of his concerts like 2 years ago, and I was front center stage, like this close to it. And my wife was like, "Why didn't you dress cooler?" And I was dressing really preppy. I looked like I came out of a Gap commercial. And you could literally see during the concert, like DMX would be like waving to everybody. He just kind of look at me, kind of like, "Okay, that's weird," and just kind of keep going to the rest of the crowd because he was like,
see pictures of
"Wait,
this.
Are you lost?
I need to see
It's like, what you
pictures
do?
of this. I need
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
pictures
I
of
thought they
Kirby
said
Curtis.
BMX, motocross.
Yeah, no. It was funny.
Okay, Wubba said, rolling scripts are so high energy. I need elevator music to stay calm. I'll have to send you a soundtrack, Wubba. But I think we talked about music before, and
a while ago. That was like
yeah.
Silverline year 1 of the podcast or livecast. Yeah,
Yeah. You know, it would be
so you're
cool.
saying it's been long enough that we should revisit it?
maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
here's what I'm thinking. We should have every Silverline creative team put a playlist together, like using YouTube Music, and put what the soundtrack to their comic book would be, and throw that up,
Ooh.
you know, online. Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
Yeah.
That'd be fun, right?
Oh yeah.
There you
Yeah.
All right, so Aaron, are you okay
No,
with like
no one here by
War?
that name.
go. Guar.
Are you okay with War?
No.
That's funny.
Listen, this is
Fire
Aaron.
Rush?
Aaron's Aaron's soundtrack is just sound effects. Boom, back, boom, boom, boom.
Well, I actually do have a theme song for my Godlings. I have one song by a group called Texas. That is like the theme song to my Godlings for a certain scene.
So
So I
Tim,
do have one.
the story behind that is, if you didn't catch the stream, Aaron tends to avoid all sound effects in his comics.
Interesting.
Stupid.
I think that might be sacrilege.
I always think it's funny, like people like. So, I will give you a challenge. If I will start putting sound effects in my comic, if you can start putting sound effects in books.
You can though.
A little bit.
I would
Yeah, I know you
love
can.
sound effects.
I mean,
I
that's
love that.
yeah.
But they've got to be drawn just like the sound effects in comics. So
Depending
huge kaboom.
depending on the author, you do get like italicized or bolded sound effects added into. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things about R.A. Salvatore when he's writing fencing scenes is he'll like describe the schlinked like swords crossing. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I know, but they got to be just like the sound effects
In comics.
I'll write-
But then it's not a
I
book
can write,
anymore.
like,
See,
what?
but I like I do like sound effects in comics, but I think also because I really like the way this is going to be really specific, but the way Korean cinema, specifically The Raid, is mastered. Just the fact that like, okay, what if we just like hyper-emphasize every punch? So it's just a crowd of like 50 people getting in, and it's a mall, but you just hear like very distinctly every impact. If you haven't watched The Raid, you should, but especially for any sort of combat. But that after seeing, yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was saying, but after just seeing the way that that's done, I really like it. But I don't like to put too much sound effects.
Not just you and Tim, Wubba's comment.
Yeah.
Wubba says that if they put up a playlist, that they'll think him and Tim are psychotic.
Yeah.
No, me too.
Yeah.
Me too, because I'll go from blues to freaking deathcore.
I am very eclectic. I
Yeah.
am very eclectic with my music. Like I could be listening to the Flower Duet and skip over to AC/DC.
Nice.
Like nothing flat. Just depends on what I'm doing and how I feel and what I want to listen to. So yeah, my wife hates it when I get control of the radio.
John and I listen to what 80s evangelicals refer to as Satan music.
Oh, no, because I'll have like Heelong and Madonna, and then there'll be Metallica and Rammstein and Soulfly, and then Stevie Ray Vaughan and Freddie King. And then you'll hear some Native American music.
Yes.
Yeah. I tried to listen to Rammstein one time, but I couldn't understand what they were saying because they are a German
You don't want to
band.
understand
Yeah.
it. You don't want to
They say their
understand
name
it.
though.
I'm
Yes.
a lyric person. I like to
It's got a
Which
vibe.
I do like the
Yeah,
flower duet. I don't understand a word they're saying, but it sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
But usually I
Learn
like
what they're
to know what the
saying. You're gonna
lyrics are.
wish you didn't.
It's
Say-
definitely-
Just trust me.
Yeah.
Well, anybody ever love a song and then you actually hear the lyrics for the first time? You actually like really think about the
Mhm.
lyrics, and then it like, oh man, why do I like this song? I mean, that's happened to
like
me
the
so
music.
many times.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when I was a kid, Grease, right? The musical. As a little kid, my parents would play it,
Oh,
and I thought
yeah.
it was awesome. And then I got older, I was listening to the lyrics. I was like, damn, this is some filthy stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it just completely went over my head. And that was just like last year I figured it out. So
Last year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really
Oh,
bad too
man.
when you want to show your kids like a movie that was really important to you in your childhood, and then when you start watching it, you're like, okay, we got to watch something else because you
You're
didn't
like,
remember
why did
that there's all this stuff in it,
Yeah.
like Grease. Yeah.
I don't remember. Okay, so
Mhm.
don't start singing it, but I don't remember anything in Greece.
oh,
now-
let's
Okay. Well,
let's
yes.
I'll
That
put it
movie
this
is
way.
all about.
Yeah, there's a word in the Grease Lightning song. There's the word for a cat paired with the name for a part of the vehicle that you attach to a horse in the old days.
Uh
Oh,
I'm sorry, I don't remember those words.
Wagon.
Did you say them? I don't know what you're
It's
talking about,
self-edited.
Curtis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, it's when you go back and watch it after so many years, you really pick up on this stuff. Like, oh my goodness, the
Well-
half of this movie is about teenage
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons I'm a huge fan of black and white movies. Like,
Mm.
have any of you guys ever seen The Thin Man?
yeah,
Thin
the
Man?
detective one, right?
Yeah, the detective.
Yeah.
Those
With
are
the dog.
great. Yeah, with Asta, right? I love those because they are so deadgum funny and they're a little bit sexy, but it's all it's also what's the word for it? It's certainly not on the nose, right? It's subtle. It's so subtle, and his humor just makes me laugh all the way through. It's really, really good. I highly, highly, highly recommend the Thin Man the movies. William Powell and Myrna Loy. Those are just so good. Yeah, and he's a detective, right? He's a detective who's trying not to be a detective. He's like, I'm on vacation. I don't want to be a detective. And his wife wants him to be. No, you need to go do this because she wants to go along with him, right? And so every chance he gets, he like locks the door on her and leaves, right? And she's like, why did you leave me? I want to go with you. He's like, no, mommy, you can't go. But it's really, really good.
I've never seen
I
that.
highly recommend it. Oh, I highly recommend it. It's very good.
They have one of them on HBO Max. HBO Max has one of the movies right now on it.
Oh, really?
You can check it out there. Yeah, if you
Yeah,
have HBO Max. Yeah.
there's about 5 of them. I think they're like the Thin Man Returns, Return of the Thin Man, and blah 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 blah. Of course, I also love the Pink Panther, but that's a different that's a different era.
direction.
Yeah. Woman said, I just put a sound effect in a panel, so.
Oh, that's funny.
And then he says, I go from Beethoven to Portal, so I don't have any idea who Portal is.
For who I'm thinking of, it's not the symphonic black metal, is it?
Mm-mm.
I used to know. Now I am not as eclectic as it sounds like you guys are. I am very. I was going to say one track, but I'm kind of 2-tracked, right? I have a second love that people tend to make fun of me about, but I'm pretty much a metal guy, and that's I don't like country, I don't like jazz, I don't like pop. I hate pop actually. I'm pretty much I like what I like, and except for
Continuously updating my Christmas list when I come on this show.
except for bluegrass, but don't tell anybody that one.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I don't
So
listen
others-
to classical music just because I have strange classical music likes.
You have strange classical music
like
likes?
Like everybody's like Mozart and Beethoven. I'm like, no, give me Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, I also like Salivary.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Beethoven ripped off Salivary, actually. I'll down that hill.
Yeah. Actually, I'll be there with you.
That's if anyone, if anyone took collegiate music history, that's a reference for you.
I think I slept through that class.
Most people did.
I do think I had a history of music.
I know.
And
It's,
they did the Gregorian chants, and I'm like, what?
Yep,
Why
yep.
am I listening to this? Okay.
Sorry, it did.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
Sorry.
on the subject of
So
moms,
I can,
So on the subject of moms,
Yeah.
I can add that whatever music I'm listening to helps my speed. So like,
Oh,
you
so
know,
we should be sending you thrash metal then.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
deal with thrash metal.
yeah.
Next day, comic done.
Yeah.
Why is it so jittery? I don't know.
I think the only time I really listen to music is when I'm exercising. I do exercise from time to time because most of my life is spent in a chair, and
That's
I'm
fair.
not even a paraplegic.
Mhm.
I mean, 12 hours a day. So
That's too much. I hope you get up and walk.
that sounds like
I
a
do.
stretch.
You get up.
The only calories
I
I
don't think
burn in a
anybody
day
would-
shoot out through my finger clicking a mouse or doing a pencil. So, you know,
I don't think anybody was prepared
And
for
we
you to
just
say
got
that
kicked
you're
off
not
the-
paraplegic.
no offense, no offense to the paraplegics. I love you all and amputees.
That's,
Saturday.
well, besides Vivaldi and Brahms is also good. I would agree. And it wasn't Beethoven. It was Mozart that ripped off Salieri. I got my Germans mixed up.
Was one of them. That
Yeah.
was-
Yes.
My Germans. It's easy to
Beethoven
mix up
probably
Germans.
ripped off
Yeah.
something from somebody.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
You know, if I can make a suggestion, I think we should have 2 titles to every podcast, which is we should have what we started out as. and
What
what
we
we ended
ended up
as.
as, yes.
Yeah.
Moms
Yeah.
and music and amputee. You know,
Yeah.
like something
Yeah,
like
what
that.
happened to the moms? I don't know.
Moms, music, and amputees.
So how do we get there?
There's also surprising. We don't really have also too many disabled parental figures in comics. They go straight from being like fully bodied to dead.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Like there's no one whose goal is to take care of their like parents, but it's just like no, my parents just died.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say the dirty word here. Star Wars has the most powerful amputee in history.
Oh yeah.
Darth Vader.
Yes.
He is like
True,
full on
true.
amputee.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And
I can hear Aaron
in comics. In
cringing.
comics, there's Deathlock.
Mm.
Right. He's well, I don't know. He's not really. His brain was put into that, right?
Yeah.
And what's Professor X exactly?
Professor, he's paraplegic. His
He's not anymore.
he's not anymore. Well, actually, yeah, weird way around that, but his lower lumbar it got messed up, so it ended up cutting off the nerves to his legs.
Yeah, it sucks
Well,
for him.
Yeah.
Well, like on the subject of Professor X, and I said it on one of the other streams, but for those of you who didn't hear it, I went to a costume party, a Halloween party years ago, and it was all people in comic books and animation and video games, and just great cosplay everywhere. And then I saw this guy. He was like a dead ringer for Professor X. He had the bald head, he had the ascot, he had the whole 9 yards, and he was in the wheelchair. And so I went up to him and I slapped him on the back, and I was like, "Great costume!" And I walked away, and he looked kind of confused. And later on, I realized he wasn't in a costume. He was just a bald guy in a wheelchair, and it was like really awkward for the rest of the party. Yeah. So awkward.
Oh, just got canceled.
So what we're saying, so what we're saying, dear listeners, it's up to you to make good representation of disabled people in comics.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Wow. God. You know, you're right.
I was
though.
bad.
When you start thinking about the parents,
Yeah.
well, they're either just
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I mean,
So here's let me toss this question out for you. Why do we think that is? All right, I know Tim said something about serve the story, but put his collegiate brain aside for a second. why do we think that is the case? Why do we think that? Now I know Curtis is the story Curtis is working on. His character, the mom is in the story, right? But now we're talking, 2020 that you're doing this. So, but why do we think that if you look back at a lot of these stories, that the parents were just kind of non-existent or dead? Why is that the case? Do you think?
Well, I would say it's because of the age range of the original readers, right? I mean, I was going to say if you're talking about going really far back, and it ties into Marvel, right? Hercules in Greek mythology, you have Hera or Juno, right? Super important figure in that mythology. But when you get to the superhero comic phase, we're talking about it aimed mainly at younger kids, and the last thing they want to deal with is their parents in the fictitious world.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably it's kind of a leftover thing from that period, and then it evolved back into having that time because family's complicated, right? So yeah.
But at the same time, losing a parent, can you really? I mean, if you haven't really experienced marriage or any of that kind of stuff yet, it kind of hits the people that, what else what is more scary than thinking about the idea of losing your security through losing your parents? So it's kind of both. I agree with Curtis as well. I mean, it hits on so many different, it can hit so many different people, so many different ways. So
yeah. Other thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I'd say one of the most interesting, it's not in comic books, but female characters in like mythology. But there was actually in the whole martial arts thing, there was a very famous martial arts named Fong Sayuk, and he was considered one of the best out there. And his mother was the teacher. His mother was the kung fu master, not the father. And they say it's because it was the mother that he became one of the best out there, because she would actually condition him, like actually beat him and make his body strong, but then she would heal him. And so she had that ability to be like the tough enforcer, but also have the gentle, caring mother part to heal him. So she could push him to a degree that nobody else could. No man could push him to that level. And they say because of that, he was one of the best ones out there because of that interesting upbringing. So I think it's supposedly based on historical accuracy, but that's a fascinating example of how it could be put in there. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Let me beat you and then heal you.
I think that would be torture.
Yeah.
That's actually how they do a lot of torture. Is strangely enough. Yeah.
Hey, there's a little one.
Out. It's okay. If you want to say hi, you can say hi, but you should ask your mom.
Oh yeah,
I don't know, Rocket.
Yeah, because we're live.
Yeah, I don't want to give permission to that.
Right. Yeah. I know. I think I showed y'all because I want to start doing these, make mine Silverline things eventually on our streams once everybody kind of starts getting back to shows. And I got this recording of this kid, and before I did it though, I had asked his mom. I said, "Look, that's fantastic. Can I show this? Can I put this on the stream?" And she says, "Absolutely." So, and then I ran into her because this was can't remember. I think this was.
It was a couple years ago.
No, a couple years ago, but because we've been in the middle of the plague, so I mean,
It was earlier this year.
I thought it was earlier this year.
Yeah, it was this year. It was 21, and I kept, I'm going to get out and do more shows and meet more people, and we'll make more recordings, and then that way we can show them. But that hadn't happened. So, but I am going to do a show. I'm going to Suncoast. Jeff Whiting and I are going to go down to Suncoast Comic Con, which is what is today? 1, 2, 3 in 3 weeks. So on May 29 and 30, we'll be down at Suncoast.
Nice.
So yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a part of Florida that I've never been to before, south of Tampa. So. Looking forward to that. Hopefully there'll be some folks there I can go around and get them to do some Make Mine Silverlining. So how important do you think moms and I guess to an extension, parents. How do you think important do you think moms are to character? Okay, Tim, you can put your collegiate brain back on. To character in stories. Does it matter? Do we feel it matters what about the moms and dads, families, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of traditional archetypes, the mother figure has always been used since, like Curtis said, ancient mythology, because that is what several thousand years. That's usually your first memory is something involving your mother. It's, and then kind of post Dark Age, you saw more emphasis on mothers in Eastern culture versus Western, but that massive monarchies being a thing. So when and if all stories are in some way pastiche or derivative of stories come before, you always are pulling on your own influences. That's going to carry forward as long as humans have moms, essentially, because it's always that first memory.
Those humans have moms.
Yeah, I mean that's is it like
That's quite a statement.
yeah, I mean because you everything is kind of based off of cultural significance, and if the mother is your first memory, it's the person who guides and nurtures you through the first some odd years of your life, depending on your cultural norm. That's going to be a big impart of what develops a person. And so when you develop a hero, if your hero is a representation of an actual person, their parents can also play a figure in how they were brought up. So the writer has to think about that when they're developing why that character thinks the way they do.
Right.
And so, and that's also why the death of a parent is so impactful. Like Quentin had said, you're losing your security, but you're also losing the essentially the de facto mentor figure of your life. Yeah.
Person who taught you right and wrong.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even the basis of Roman mythology, you had Jupiter being the all-powerful god and Sol being the giver of life, being the sun. But Terra was the Earth Mother. All things depended on Terra at all times of day, and so she played a big part there. In Eastern cultures, you look at the typically representations for different water goddesses were the ones who brought healing and life about. And so they were given a lot of importance too. And let's hear Japanese, in which case you looked at Sasuno as being this guy who just came in and messed stuff up because storms were a thing pretty frequently.
I think it's interesting you said mentor, because I kind of get the feeling that there's a definitive line between the parent figures being important and a mentor coming in. It's almost like a mentor needs to be in a story when the parents are taken out of the equation or aren't as influential. And it seems that the more important a mentor figure is, except Daredevil's like a great one that it's kind of almost a 50-50, right? Like Stick and Jack Murdoch are kind of both serve an important purpose. But I don't think I've ever seen that many where the mentor and the parents are actually in the picture
together.
Time. Never, right?
Yeah.
Well, usually the mothers are a little bit more based on love and like that connection that a person has with love and emotion is connected to the mother, and usually the mentorship is the father. That's kind of, so when they lose one or the other, if they lose their mother, it's a personal, you know what I'm saying. It's you can go two different ways with of course you can go in like in the type of Bruce Wayne who lost both at one time. Of course he's all kinds of crazy, it drove him so many different ways,
It drove him batty.
It drove him bad. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I couldn't help it. He said it. He lined up the shot and I just took it.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah,
That was
so that was very good. So I would make the argument, kind of supporting kind of what Tim is saying, is that I think that when you're creating characters, these are things that as the creator that you have to know. And I'll give you kind of an example, like in cat and mouse stories. So we've touched on Mouse's family, right? But we haven't touched on cats family at all.
No.
But I know it. I already know. I know his story because it's something that I said, okay, well, this is his family situation. This is what makes him. And maybe we did touch on it just a tad little bit, but it's not really that hasn't been really integral to the story as being told, but it's been integral to him as a character as to what makes him go. And obviously the longer that we go, the more that we'll learn about that. But right now it's been all about Mouse and kind of her family and the situation that got him into this storyline. So, but I know it's just that it hasn't made it into the comic yet.
Yeah. I mean, the same with Wolf Hunter. Operating very contained, so there's no real room for flashback. Sorry about any background noise. But if the story continues on, I know what would have caused James Willard's family to be the way they are, and how that caused him to take the career he did, and which eventually led to these events in Volume 1. And there's a line there, but I don't necessarily need to show it as the writer at the moment.
Right. Yeah. I think it's something that you need to know, even if you don't know in great depth. I'm not, of course, I'm not suggesting that you go write an entire cyclopedic entry, but you need to know, okay, they come from this.
Mm-hmm.
What's that, Roberta?
Oh, I didn't say anything. Sorry.
Oh.
I was going to say, for the writers, in regards to that, right? I mean, I would assume that that's malleable, right? I mean, you may have a backstory for your character that nobody sees, but as the series progresses, if need be, that changes. It's not something that you just stick. Okay, well, I said that his father was abusive, and I have to stick to it, right?
Yeah.
That's malleable as you go along.
Everything can be changed, cut, or adjusted until it's in the reader's hands.
Yeah. That's I 1000% agree with that. It's like once it's in print, once you've got it in the story, well, then that's what you've told. Now, unless you're intentionally misleading them with stuff, but if you're presenting it to the reader as this is the story, then that's it, and you can't change it. But if it hasn't seen print, it's like, okay, again, like I know the story of Cat, but I haven't told it. So if 3 or 4 issues down the road, I'm like, instead of doing this, I could do this. But none of the readers have ever seen it, so it doesn't matter to them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like writing. When I'm writing, it's like that's one of the interesting things I find is those moments where I had that idea, and then it's like, oh, wouldn't it serve the story better if this backstory was here, so I can bring this in? So
yeah.
I on the thing about mothers and comic books, and this is, it may be a little touchy or presumptuous, but one of the things that I'm kind of thinking is, archetypally, right? The father is the figure that the main character, how they relate and deal with other male figures. And the mother is the character that represents how that character deals with females. And as the genre has been male dominant, in the mythology and things like that, and more about physical conflict with other men, in that sense, I could see that maybe that's the reason why there hasn't been as much of a focus on the mother figure, because we're not as concerned, fortunately, unfortunately, with how the main character deals with the opposite sex in that sense.
Right.
That kind of makes sense. I mean, things are changing now, but that might be a reason why it's been that way.
So that's probably why a lot of characters are very bad at maintaining relationships in a healthy manner.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
I think there's multiple reasons for that too.
Yeah.
I think, obviously it is a reflection of society, but also it goes back to what we said earlier, is that, we read for conflict. We read because we're interested in something that takes us out of our world.
Yes.
We want to see the spectacular. You want to see, you want to see a guy who can leap tall buildings in a single bound. You want to see that. I don't want to see a guy who can leap 6 feet. Who cares? Right?
That's pretty awesome.
Well, if you want to see that, then you just read the crossover comic that Dark Horse put out between Godzilla and Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
Did they really?
Yes.
Wow.
Nike, I think, had a Godzilla collab, and at the time, Charles Barkley was sponsored by Nike, so they pitched Dark Horse like, "Hey, you want to do this comic book?" So they did a miniseries.
Wow. I still like the Muhammad Ali versus Superman.
Oh,
fight with
Yes, yeah.
Adams, and the fact that they made that work is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish mine were in better shape. I've got some of those old Treasury editions, but I got them as a kid,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
so I read them.
Right.
Reading comics, blasphemy.
and, hey, you
Yeah.
know what, Aaron? They
No.
had sound effects in them.
Yep.
Did they really?
Yes. It's no longer the comics reading industry; it's the comics slabbing industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
A lot of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know, I actually I won't call them by name because he was super nice.
Mm.
I talked to one of these slabbing companies here locally, and I'm like, it's interesting to do. And then I got prices from him. Like, yeah, no, I don't think so. I'm like, you know what? I don't think I can sell my books for enough to cover that.
Mhm.
It's like, good grief.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's interesting, but
Yeah, I did get someone recommended that because I have a friend who works at one of those places that I could send in issue 1 of Wolf Hunter to get slammed. Like, so my first book is then also. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, there you go.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, there's John's.
That's 9.8.
Yeah, that's nice. So, are you selling that?
Because the shit's awesome.
Are you?
When I got these in, I did I offered anybody who wanted one a grading and remark, and I had a few people who got it graded and paid the money to have it graded.
Oh wow, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very awesome. See, and I think so here's the thing I think about the slabs. I think it presents really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looked really good. I'm personally not a fan because it's like, how can you? If you open that, you destroy the value of it, right? You destroy
That's
the
why you have
grade.
a reader copy.
Yeah.
I know, but but anyway,
They look really good on the table too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think they look great, but yeah, they're expensive.
Some others than slabbing.
Something we can talk about off air because it's not as bad as you think off air.
Yeah, Mothers and Slab Comics.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
what else?
Out of your way to actually buy slab comics? Just out of curiosity.
There are some people that's all they look for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is
as far as like their comic collection is just slab comics instead of actually comics.
Yeah.
I had a cover actually just pop up because I didn't even expect it to happen.
Mm.
And I'm doing pre-orders for it, and I'm already getting messages that be like, "Hey, are you gonna do grading on them also?"
Oh,
so
nice. Very cool. Yeah, and I think that's exciting when you can get kind of the orders before you even have the book in your hands,
Yeah.
Because then you can make plans. I guess I don't know what kind of demand there is, and so I'm kind of nervous about spending that kind of money,
Right.
and then carrying around a bunch of slab books on just because they look good.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of the weird thing is it's kind of like it's the weird modern art collector. I mean, the same thing's happening to trading card games now, and it's doing all sorts of weird stuff to the prices where people don't even interested in the game or in comics are just interested in having the art and the art graded for quality. So you have people who have a collection of slabbed Pokemon cards.
and it's just not comics that can get slabbed too, because I can send
That
them
goes
off
with
and have it slabbed.
action figures as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
You can slab action figures?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They
think
do.
so.
Yeah, it's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
When you get into the collecting thing. Oh my goodness, people are.
Because that was the whole thing with like the weird the patron system back in the Renaissance is you had these landlords would spend absorbent amounts of money to have an artist live in their basement for a month and paint something for them.
Right.
Just so they could put it up on their wall and say like, I had a guy live in my basement and paint this for me.
Yeah.
And it's now we're kind of seeing that in the weird nerdy form in terms of grading and slabbing.
On that note, has there been any movement on the whole NTF thing? I mean,
Or
I mean, is that
NFTs.
still? Yes, I mean NFT. Sorry, is that still kind of going on?
I haven't seen it move into
Is it
our
big
market,
or-
but it's taking off in the sports marketing. So like,
Partner just did
yeah.
something recently.
Yeah, so if you're watching like DAZN, which is a boxing federation, Top Rank, the MLB, these companies are doing like NFT athlete collectibles, so you can get essentially unique snapshots from different athletes that'll have. So it'll have the markers telling you it's the original, because that's the whole point. But also they'll try and include something else. So like saying like, this is something that athlete actually did, and you buying this, you're going to be one of 10 people that actually gets to see it. And so that's where it's seeing some of its early market value. So kind of same thing, I guess, with collector cards. Is it's mostly sports stuff at the moment, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
Interesting.
We'll see it snake into everything in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Every creative property.
part of me thinks, well, why don't I just send them a cover?
Yeah.
You know, and just slab that and say it's the book. You know, it's like, why do I got to print a whole book if you just want to slab the cover? But yeah. Wubba said, I was thinking about getting copies to sign, mail them back to Roland to sell on the site store or direct to eBay.
Huh.
So,
Yeah.
Strangely enough, have you seen anyone ever give a slabbed comic as a Kickstarter reward?
Oh. That
We should
I mean,
start slabbing.
But you already prepaid for the slabbing, and then
We should
no,
start
it
slabbing
was- I think
Silverline
that-
titles as they come off the press, so that when Roland is making cameos in the films, you know, and they shoot up in value, like Stan Lee, then they'll be worth a lot of money, and then that'll be like a whole other revenue influx for us. Is, you know, having all these
So are
comics
you
on
saying-
slab.
So you're recommending that CGC put a person, a grading individual, in Kablam?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No problem. We'll bring it up with Tommy.
Did I hear you right?
Just right out the
draw
press
'em
into the glass case, and we just put it in, put it behind Roland, and he can have them stacked up with the rest of his books. So whenever he starts making his debut in films for
Yeah.
Cat and Mouse and Trumps and all and Friar Rush, all these things that are tied to Silverline, then they'll go up in value, and then we'll have them already there,
There you go.
all graded,
Yeah.
fresh
I
on
like
the
it.
press,
Exactly.
glass.
that would be interesting to
Good
have-
plan.
Yeah, to see if somebody from CGC could actually be there at the printer for it to
Yeah.
roll off, you know?
It'll work.
Well, they are in Florida, so it's a little bit easier
Yeah.
for y'all.
CGC is in Florida too, aren't they?
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Florida
yeah,
has
and,
everything.
and Kablam is here too, so
Yeah.
yeah, that could be doable. Yeah, but again, I think the for me the thing was just the price. Just looking at them, I'm like, you know, you could do one, but I had it all written down, but I think I ultimately decided that's just too much. To put away.
how much are they?
Well, to everybody else out there, it's like what, $45, $50?
I think
Something
so.
like that.
Mhm.
And
Okay,
that's
I
for
think
fast
yeah.
track, and
Yep.
that's for fast track. For dealers and artists, it's different,
Yeah.
and I won't say it over live stream.
Yeah, but also, I mean, they'll give you a bulk discount, but their bulk discount was like, yeah, and you can get like 100 of them, and I'm like, wait, 100 times $40? I don't have that kind of money. You're kidding me? You know? No way. Yeah, okay, yeah, I can understand that is a very generous deal if I got that many copies, but no, I don't have that kind of money. You know, so yeah, I think it's kind of a cool idea, and I still think about it and like, oh, it could be cool to do, but I just
I
still,
like to collect things, but I just, I've never been able to, because so many things, they're valuable right now and you collect them. I mean, if you're collecting for the value later, you're not, I enjoy the stuff that I collect. That's why I collect it.
Yeah.
I don't really collect it for investment
right.
because, there's some, there's Star Wars figures and stuff like that that people collect, and those are worth quite a bit of money. And certain other franchises,
Yeah.
but then there's so many that aren't. And another thing you have to consider is if you sit on that stuff too long and the generation kind of dies out or gets to a certain age where they start dying out, then that thing is not really that worth that much
Yep.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen that happen like with the classic GI Joes and
Yep.
all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about like the 70s, 60s GI Joes. I mean, they used to be really high dollar, but now, they're not worth quite as much because that generation is starting to exit. And so, so you just never know. I like to enjoy what I have, and
Sure.
putting stuff in a glass case. I mean, to keep dust off of it, I would, but
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
me personally, I like to go through my books. I like to, you know what? I haven't looked at, this book in a long time. I like to go back and take a look at them, and it would just kill me if I had it in a case that I'd had to break open.
Yeah. The
I can see.
only things I keep locked up are my Star Wars Black Edition figures, which I usually am getting as like a gift every year. But my main collection is Gundam figures, which you have to unbox in order to assemble. So that's Gundam collectors are weird. Like, we're gonna spend an absorbent amount of money to get this thing that will immediately devalue because that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
Well, I might
unless you're good at customizing models, and
Yeah.
then you can make them one of a kind. I mean,
Yeah.
you get guys in there who do like there's a few Gundam modelers
Mhm.
that
Yeah, and
will
see, that's
sell
another
them,
thing
but
Yeah.
they're
you
completely
gotta be
custom.
you got to be careful with too is customizing.
Yeah.
Anything that I get, I leave open to customize because it's mine. But some people, they don't want to custom anything. They want it just how it was,
Yeah.
Mhm.
when you bought it. And then there's some people that, oh, that's really cool, and it'll be the only one in existence, that looks this way. But yeah, you got to be careful about that.
Yeah. Wubba said it's worth the price for Kickstarters. Those books are registered and people jump at them. I hadn't thought about that. That's
Yeah.
not a bad idea. I mean, we could talk to the CGC people and say, all right, look, we're going to run a Kickstarter. How much are you going to charge me? Here's what the cost is. And then just add that to the Kickstarter so that
Yeah.
people can say, look, here's what I want. Here's the only thing I question about that is that, you can't, there's no real way to guarantee a grade, is there? Yeah,
Well,
because
You
it's
just send in
coming-
the product, then it's just whatever they assigned you. So I mean, unless you
I mean, we
tear
would.
it in half.
I mean, we would tell them, obviously they're going to come off the printer, or they're going to come off the press, and then they're going to go straight to CGC. So, I mean, it's not like they're going to be,
Well, if somebody
through
was there
hand.
at the printer, the chance of an incredibly high grade is almost guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work,
but having to ship it,
yeah,
there's a chance that it could. Now, everything I've gotten from you, Roland, is been packed awesome. So it's
Yeah.
no question. I'm surprised I got a 9.6 out of that.
yeah,
Mhm.
But because it looks exactly like the 9.8s, I think it was just two different graders.
yeah,
And they looked at it differently.
Yep.
Most of those books were 9.8s,
yeah.
right? If not all of them.
Well, I mean, we've gone to where we use the Geminis for all the shipping now, unless it has artwork, and then you can't ship artwork in there. But the way I try to consider it is like shipping books to you is like, okay, if I'm shipping books to me, how would I want you to handle it? And I would like, okay, I wouldn't want you just throw them in there and then like, oh well, crap, look at these, because I know that you're going to take them, you're going to keep some, but you're also going to take them to conventions and try to sell them. So that's an idea. I may have to reach out to see if they could actually be at the printer. It would take some coordination between Kablam and the CGC. But I mean, we know the guys at Kablam. So Tommy, if you're listening, can you make that happen?
He's cutting
me
right now.
That'd be a great live stream video. I mean, great social
Yep.
media. I mean,
Oh
you
man,
had a
yeah.
video of that. I mean, you're live streaming it. That's really cool. That'd be
What
really neat.
says, I love my Gundams.
Yes.
And he says you can guarantee at least 5 9.8 if they're going straight from press.
And the other thing is, if we know we're doing that, Tommy doesn't have to ship them to me and then me reship them. I could just say, hey, Tommy, ship these here. And if Tommy knows what they're doing, he would actually take extra special care of them, So, I'm not sure how we got off on that topic.
we went from moms to music to yeah.
We were talking about amputees, I thought. I mean, mothers.
Jesus.
Hey, pirates.
Okay, if we're going off subject, if I can throw in a hot button subject.
Oh no.
I'm just curious. And if it's not good to cover it, let me know. But I'm curious what everybody thinks about that whole J. Scott Campbell fixing your art deal.
That's a great topic.
That was interesting. Yeah.
I mean,
y'all talk.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not aware of what you're talking about.
So wait, hold on, John. What do you think was awesome? Do you think it was awesome his response?
His response, because it was completely uncalled for the person to sit there and try to fix his work. J. Scott Campbell is probably one of the best artists out there and best studied artists out there, because he's one of the few out there that can actually, if you ask him to do likeness, he can do it spot on.
So for those of you who don't know, all right, because Quentin says he's from what Tim, you know.
know
right?
I'm familiar. Yeah, I follow him on Instagram. Yeah.
Do you know what's the
I don't.
Okay, you do or don't?
I do not.
Okay, Aaron.
Angel Girl, Gen 13.
Aaron?
No, I mean,
just to name a couple of books.
Aaron, what's Aaron doing today? All right, so he's drawing, all right. So he's muted and stuff. So long story short is there was a fan who
I wouldn't call this person a fan, because they're doing this on purpose with a lot of people's work, and they picked the wrong one.
An opportunist. That's what I call him.
Okay, all right, an opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay. So here, there's a person who is not a professional artist. Took they did not like the way J. Scott Campbell was it Mary Jane?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mary Jane looking
they did
worried,
not like,
drinking coffee.
They did not like the way J. Scott Campbell had done that, so they quote unquote fixed it. And what they did essentially was go in and like literally fix the art on J. Scott Campbell's drawing. Okay. Well, it kind of made the rounds, and J. Scott Campbell fixed the fixer, right? So he came back in. Yeah. Oh, it was great.
Okay, that's funny.
He explained how they screwed up the anatomy, how they should have moved it back because of where he had her sitting on the couch. They didn't change that. The whole night. And this is the first time this person's actually fixed J. Scott's art.
It's not, or it is?
No, it's not. It's the first time he's fired back.
Well, good for him. I was glad to see him do that. Here's my
now that pencil artwork is now up on eBay with all the donations going to a charity
Fresh
that
Artists.
helps artists.
Yeah, it's going to Fresh Artists. It helps set up arts education and like underfunded arts communities.
Oh, J. Scott Campbell did this?
Yeah.
Yes, and that as last time I looked at it, it was like $6,800.
Yeah.
Grief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wubba said the side that did that was a rude POS, but was awesome the way Campbell handled it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So here's
he handled it like a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here's my problem with the original poster, which I don't know anything about. Right. My thing is this. Okay. You don't fix J. Scott Campbell. Now, what you could do, you could say, hey, I don't like the way J. Scott Campbell over-sexualized Mary Jane here, so I'm going to draw my own version.
Yes, you could say you're doing your own take on it because everyone does that. But if you're saying if you're saying fixing, you're implying that like you're inherently wrong. I'm right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is my biggest problem with it. If they had just said, here's my take on J. Scott Campbell's artwork, and then drawn something and made the quote-unquote fixes in their own drawing, then I'm like, you know what? Okay, so you did this, and this is your drawing. But to fix, just go in and make the fixes on the things that you didn't like, I think that was completely uncalled for, and I loved.
It's pretty pompous too and presumptuous for you to go and do something like that anyway. But to announce it to everybody, I'm going to fix this.
Yeah.
I'm such a good artist. I'm going to fix this professional artist that's world
Oh,
known.
they teed up the shot and he took it out.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was so transparent. I mean, it was somebody trying to get attention that they wouldn't otherwise. If you're such a good artist, you should be able to survive on your own merit. Whatever piece of artwork you put out there, everything's said in there. And you don't even need to, pardon my French, but like open your mouth, about somebody else's artwork. I don't go and Photoshop the Mona Lisa and say like, you know what, Leonardo, you missed those eyebrows. Like here's the eyebrows. I mean, nobody looks good, right? You don't look good. The artist, nothing looks good. I just kind of feel like it was, the person may have ended up getting what they wanted, which is the attention, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here we are talking about them. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like there's no such thing as bad press. Maybe that was their theory, but I thought it was tacky.
I don't think they're getting enough. I don't think they're actually getting people to talk about them because all the conversations are being told. It's J. Scott Campbell telling off the person that said that fixed his art. He fixed the fixer. They're being referenced to as the fixer, not by name, not by anything that will draw you back to them. But
which, by the way, I think is my personal opinion. That's the way I think we ought to reference murderers and killers and these shooter stuff. I don't think
because you're just making when you say their name on there, you're just giving them what they want. And you're making more of them. You're making more of them because they're getting.
I just think we should say, the and then the deuce that shot up 14 people here. Right? And don't call them by name. Just just call them the killer
or
the shooter.
Skadoosh.
The skadoosh.
The skadoosh.
My martial arts teacher, because online it's that way, but I mean, there's always people criticizing, this move doesn't work or that move doesn't work or stuff like that. But one of my Sifu did one of the coolest things is somebody called the studio once and was screaming and yelling at him and threatening him and said, your martial arts no good, you're weak, this, I could beat you up. And all he did is he responded this way. He just said, I'm really sorry you feel that way, and I got no bone to pick with you. But we will be open 1 hour longer tonight just for you. So please come down. I just wish I could be that cool. That's where I see the people.
Yeah.
How you do
Right. It's like,
haters.
okay, you caught me on the day where I have time. So you obviously be prepared because you're getting the smoke.
Yep.
Come on down. I'll whip you and then I'll take you to lunch.
Yep.
Oh, actually, it's a seafood, so he's not gonna just whoop you. He's gonna whoop you and tell you how he whooped you.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
The whole thing, as you're laying there wondering why your lower intestine is next to your right lung.
He's going to teach you, right?
Yeah, we a couple of messages like, no, you dropped your guard here, and that allowed me to.
Now I was able to do this because you leaned this way, and then I smacked you upside the head, right?
You were watching my shoulders, so I was able to do this.
Yeah, now that you got your head out of your throat, we'll go have a hot dog.
Yeah. It's actually pretty cool because one of the things, Curtis and I were able to have dinner a couple of years ago when I was able to make it out to San Diego, and Curtis was telling me some of the things about martial arts and telling me that a lot of times, when you're trained like that, you can feel the punch, the force, the blow, whatever kind of coming at you. You can kind of feel that, and that's how you're able to. And I'm like, man, the only thing I can feel is, oh crap, don't hit me.
Yep.
Well, the funny thing is, I'll say that, but then tomorrow I'll drop a coffee cup on my foot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
And your wife says, okay, Kung Fu Master, why didn't you move your foot?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So
But
it happens.
Yeah. Well, that's. It's the same thing in boxing. It's all rhythm. So you get into this rhythm, and that allows you to engage that mode and get that excited flow where
things do move. So like you feel the punch coming, so you slip and then you come in, whatever. But then once you exit that mode, your senses are just like, I'm done for the day. You can no longer hold a pen straight.
Exactly.
See,
Exactly.
when you get in that zone anyway, when you're doing any kind of combative sport, things tend to slow down when you're doing it and you're in that zone, which is why it seems like you can feel it coming and things like that. It's because your body is trained to actually watch these things that are coming faster than most people are able to comprehend. But just like a batter, in baseball, that ball looks like it's coming screaming off the mound, but to that batter, it's taking a dip.
Yeah.
Adrenaline does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, slows
Yep.
your cognition.
Mhm.
All right, speeds your cognition by slowing your I don't know
Awareness.
what you call it.
It makes everything seem like it's going slow mo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
actually,
people
I
saying
got.
their life. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I mean, I got attacked once in San Francisco. I was on Market Street in Powell, which is like the main thoroughfare, where it's the busiest place where you really wouldn't get attacked because people are there. And I was waiting in a little alcove by the Gap store there for a friend, and it was art color, so I had my art book, I had my sketchbook, and this big dude comes in, and I don't know if he obviously wasn't right ahead. He starts kind of talking to me. Everything seems normal. And then all of a sudden he just starts yelling at me, saying, "You think you're so special, you think you're so great." And I told him to beat it. And there was nowhere for me to move because I'm in this alcove. And then dude's groaning at me. And I'm like, is this guy some kind of pervert? Like, why is he groaning at me? And it looks like he's about to touch my shoulder. And then his hand was like this close to my face. And I go, oh, shoot, he's punching me in the face. Like time had distorted to that level.
Yeah.
And there's this brief second where his fist is like right by my nose, and I go, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" And I got scared. And then the next thing I knew, I grabbed his wrist and I pulled his wrist to the side, and then I kicked him. And so his upper body was going sideways, his lower body, the kick was going in and hitting his leg, and he was about to do like a somersault from the impact from both things pushing. And then he gets up, and then time just goes back to normal, and he yells at me. He literally goes, "What?" He didn't say crap, but you know what he said. He goes.
What did
What
he
the hell
say,
is that?
Curtis?
He says, "What the hell is that? He goes, "What the hell is that? Some kind of kung fu crap?" And I go, "Yeah, it is actually." It is. And then he starts screaming and yelling at me. He goes, "You think you're so special?" I say, "You know what? Get out of here." He goes, oh, "Okay," and he walks away. And then as he walks away, I look down and I'm still holding my sketchbook with my pen in my other hand. And the funniest thing is it's the busiest street. I would love to have somebody have seen it, but nobody saw it. Everybody's doing their things because I'm just in this tiny little alcove to the side. But time really does distort. It's you realize how relative it is to your experience, right? And
Yeah, I got in a wreck
like
one
that.
time, and let me tell you, I had a whole long conversation with myself, as it was happening. Okay, we're
Is the
turning
underwear- is
over,
the clean
and
underwear in the
how hard?
glove box?
Yeah, I was like, okay, now we're turning over, and then like, okay, the ground's coming up, so I need to kind of try to position myself some way. I mean, I really, this really happened, and I was telling my wife about it. She thought it was so crazy, but I mean, it really is a thing, when that adrenaline gets to going.
Yeah.
And I don't remember, like, there's portions of it I don't remember now, but I do remember thinking, okay, we're turning over, now we're spinning, now we're rolling, and it was just really crazy. The only thing I remember about the last half of it was seeing me sitting on the ceiling of my car because I had just pulled out and I was doing my seatbelt when I got hit and turned over, and then I just slid. And so I was sitting on the ceiling of my car looking at the ground, just scraping by. And that's the one thing that I really remember. But I do remember having that conversation right before I went all the way over. Okay, I need to position myself this way, need to do this, need to do that. I mean, it was really weird, really weird.
Scary.
Amazing.
It was
That's
so
why-
funny too because I was sitting there for a second and I was doing like a body check, legs work, arms work, and then all of a sudden, on one side of the car, people are like sticking their head in. don't move, don't move, don't move. You could have something broken. And on the other side of the car, there was this guy. He peeked his head in. He said, "You got to get out of here. This thing's going to blow."
Holy cow!
So I was like, I ended up getting out of there anyway, but I was not hurt at all.
Nice.
I had a scratch on my thumb when I was getting out because of the broken glass, and that was it. So, but it was amazing though when I think back to that, because that was the most serious wreck I've been in. Thankfully, knock on wood.
Wow.
Somebody.
Wow. Yeah, I just did.
Yeah, I was,
All of us.
I was actually.
Yeah, I had
I was
a similar situation with a car accident where there was a car coming at me full speed on the freeway. You know, when they kind of start slowing down, the whole thing is slowing down in every lane. He had nowhere to go that speed to, so he picked my lane.
Oh.
And so like I'm seeing him coming in slow motion. I'm like, well, I think I have enough room to get over to one lane over. That was the best I could do, because it was the furthest in, so he had the most room, and he would choose that lane for sure anyway. But I didn't know. There just wasn't enough time.
Yeah,
so.
that's
So
the
you
thing.
see it
You
slow.
Yeah.
And he hit me. He hit me on my corner and sent me in a spin. And
That's
the
what
thing-
happened to me.
Yeah, you absolutely see it in like, probably every single bit of it you're aware of. Like you make every decision with so much more thought. I'm like, there's this here and this here, and I'm gonna go here if I can make it, and and I'm gonna pray that everyone in oncoming, behind me was stopping, and they did. So
wow.
But
Thank
that
God.
time slowing, it's really slow. Like you really
If
have
only
enough
it
time to
slowed
think
down
it
like
out.
we were.
Yeah. Well, why doesn't it
But it
slow down
seems
while
to
you're
go-
working? Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's like you get in a rhythm drawing or coloring, and it's, you're like, it's 4 a.m.
And
Yeah, always.
speaking of time moving fast, I look at the clock and
Uh-oh.
it's 11 o'clock. So that means that
yeah.
we have been chatting about mothers for 2 hours.
I'd say about 20 minutes total.
We've been chatting about amputated mothers.
Woman said, so relating to mothers encourage ninja practice because getting caught is not an option.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Because that whooping is not fun.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know how it is around other parts of the country, but I know that in the South, it's not uncommon to hear parents tell their kids, don't you dare ever start a fight, but if you get in one, you better finish it.
There you go.
It's like if you start it,
My mom always said, "Don't you run
well,
from
it's
me."
like if you
Don't
start it,
run
you got to
from me.
answer to me. But if the other person started it, you better finish it, or you'll answer to me.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. That's what my mom always said. Don't you run from me. Don't you run.
Yeah.
And of course, when she catches you, then you're going on the carousel of doom.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, you sleep at night. Don't go nowhere.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. All right. So we do have to call it a night. Thank you all for hanging with us. Wubba, thanks for joining us in the chat. We missed you on here, man. Shout out again to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con and Free Camp. Thank you so much for being our sponsors. You guys go check them out. We mentioned them at the top of the hour and gave all kind of cool information about them. So go check them out and support them because they support us. John, you streaming tomorrow night?
Start.
I don't think so.
Okay. So John doesn't know whether he's streaming tomorrow night or not.
No, I don't think I have anybody lined up for tomorrow. I don't think I was able to line up anybody for tomorrow.
All right. So don't forget to join us Wednesday for our Wednesday Whammers. They're going to be talking about the two books on our upcoming Kickstarter,
which is Steam Patriots #1 and Divinity #2. So I'm sure Tim is the producer of that. So we need to make sure we load him up with some artwork so he can preview that. But they're going to hype that up. So come in, join us on Wednesday so you'll know what to expect from the Kickstarter. So anybody got anything else before we tell folks where they can find us?
Don't forget the Zazzle store. Cat and mouse mug. Don't forget it.
That is a gorgeous mug.
Why, thank you. Thank you,
like
sir.
All right. Yeah, so I'll go the opposite order this time. Tim, thank you for joining us tonight.
Good one.
Yes.
Tim they can find you.
Tim TK, normally on the Wednesday Wham show. I can also see what I put up on the Silverline blog, on the Silverline website. I'm on every social media at Tim TK Writer. I'm on TikTok at Tim Doesn't TikTok. And I am here on Twitch most Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays at Agro Bacon.
And of course, the people listening on Facebook, that means they have to go to Twitch.
Yes.
And listen to Agro Bacon.
Groggy Roberta.
John, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
In a whole lot of places. You look for John Martin or Artistic Viking of some sort derivative. There may even be a Voltan somewhere. You can find me that way. And that would be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I think I covered it all. Patreon. Yeah.
All right. Aaron, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs? Aaron, you're muted. No wonder we couldn't hear Aaron tonight. No wonder he didn't interrupt anyone. He was muted the whole night.
Oh, wow.
Aaron's like, wait, what? Wait, what? What?
Yeah,
Let's
he's still
focus.
muted.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're muted, Aaron.
Is it,
His book Godlings is online. I think 11 volumes so far, right? And it's updated on Webtoons weekly. Is that right, Aaron? And Aaron Humphreys Art, Instagram and Facebook.
There you go. Thank you, Curtis, for picking up that baton there. And we see you, Aaron, but we still can't hear you. Groggy Roberta.
Yeah, Groggy Roberta. I made it.
Find you.
Yeah, you can find me, Roby Conroy, on basically Facebook and Instagram's the best place to look. So.
All right.
Look. And I am not
And
as
you are
groggy as I thought. I'm a little groggy, but it's getting a little better. Just a bit.
Good.
Just a
Glad to hear that.
Mhm.
Sifu, where can folks find you?
Hey, yeah, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me through my martial arts school, Tiger Crane Kung Fu on Facebook. YouTube, Tiger Crane 805, and Instagram, same thing. And then my comic book, Shadow Ghost Comic, on Instagram and Facebook. That's where you can find me.
Sweet. Quentin, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on DeviantArt QJB, Facebook Quentin Bedwell. That's really about it. So.
Okay.
Oh, I have a MySpace.
Woohoo!
Nice.
I didn't know anybody still used that.
I don't either. I don't. But it's there.
Aaron, I see the mute icon went away on your profile. You
I think
hear me?
There you go. Yeah.
Hey.
There you go.
Yeah, there was no mute icon at all. I didn't see anything on here. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So as far as
Well, I haven't seen
Oh.
the whole screen.
he clicked off in the middle of talking.
What did you do to the people in Discord?
I don't know. That's why I was gonna say something about the whole J. Scott Campbell thing, but I didn't. Yeah, we'll say that for later. there was obviously another reason why that guy edited or corrected his art. It had nothing to do with art. Nothing
Right.
to do with
Yeah.
art.
Yeah.
And that's the main focus. I think.
Yeah, he was trying to make a statement.
Yeah, it's all political posturing.
Yep.
So, but I just don't really want to get into that on this channel.
Right. Yeah. So did Curtis cover all the things? Did you want to add anything?
No, that was it.
All right, good.
Yeah.
So I am Roland. You can find me at Roland Man on all the appropriate social medias. You can find me Man Roland on Twitter, and of course all the Silverline pages. You can find all of us there. So come hang out with us at Silverline. We appreciate you mostly for joining us. And if you're listening to the podcast, thank you for the podcast. You should jump over and see what we look like sometime and join us on the stream. So until next time, remember to I gotta get it. All right, remember to
Happy Mother's Day.
make mine smile. Yeah. Happy Mother's Day.